Hello
Yes, it,
and welcome to Breakthrough Conversations with Coach Pete, and I'm Gloria Lybecker. And today, let's talk about how important it is to be perfect. How important is it, Coach Pete?
not very, it turns out, in my experience.
Yeah.
Hello again, Gloria. Great to be with you. There's a cliche, and I may get it wrong, but it's something like, don't let the perfect get in the way of the good.
Mm.
Sometimes we human beings, we strive for perfection and we wait for perfection, and we don't allow the good to show up. Example, look at my nose. Now, I could have said today, I'm not going to join you today in the podcast because I'm not perfect. I have this bandage on my nose. But I figured that's okay. We can still talk, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Don't have to be fixated on my bandage and they can listen to us. So that reminded me of this. And I think it's really true. We do, and so many of my clients, we talk about this idea of perfection. And you can wait forever for perfection instead of opting out for the good or the good enough or, your best. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Well, in fact, to be a true creator in your life, you need to embrace imperfection. There's a study where they showed that they used artists that they were doing pottery. And in the study, they had people they were just like making one thing after another, one thing after another. And then they had another group, they were going to get it perfect. And they were really focusing on getting it perfect. So they didn't make very many. And these guys, they made a whole bunch. Well, which one do you think actually had the higher quality product when they were complete?
I don't know. I bet the people who did a lot produced a lot.
Yeah, they did because they got a lot more experience in and they could just recognize what they'd done and then they could make something else and they could do it different. They could continue to evolve. And so when we can embrace the messiness, we can embrace the imperfections, we're actually creating something that's gorgeous and authentic and real. And so I think that's the good that people really desire, is to really be more accepting of themselves and authentic and you can have a laugh at some of the things that we do.
I think art and creativity and the creative process is a great build on what we started to talk about perfect versus good. If you think about somebody like Picasso, I mean, what did people around him, if you ever let anybody look at his work, say about what he created? I mean, it certainly wasn't perfect, right? It wasn't the woman he was drawing, it wasn't a perfect recreation of her face, but it was from inside, it was inspired and it had a
Yeah.
point of view and you know so I think the artwork and the creative process is a great way to talk about this idea of perfect versus good.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And in that, also recognizing that um where that drive to be perfect comes from. And where do you see that coming from for people? If we're just going to unpack that a little bit.
Sure, and that's another thing that comes up a lot in my coaching practice with my many of my clients, this idea of, in fact, I had one client even put a label on it, which is probably created by some counselor or psychologist sometime. It's called the disease to please.
Mm.
That's where some people have this burning desire to please others so much. I think it is connected with this idea of perfection versus good. And I think it's something that people can work on because if you're so motivated to please people, which is noble, don't you think? Isn't it good to please others?
It depends on the intention behind the desire.
Yes, and it also can be carried to an extreme.
Mhm.
So here's that word balance again, or as you put it, harmony. We need to find that harmony between pleasing and what about ourselves? What
Yeah.
do we want? Because many people have this quote disease to please, and I think it's an area that can be really worked on successfully in coaching, because um, we don't have to please people all the time, not to the extent of checking in with ourselves. What do we want deep inside? What do
Yeah.
we? What do we want?
Yeah. What
Not
do
so
we
much pleasing others to such an nth degree.
Yeah, so when we take that moment to pause and we actually check in with our own heart, and it's an alignment of, I really want to please this person because I really want to. I'm doing it because of the love of it. Then yes, yes, yes. And when I check in and I'm doing it out of duty or obligation or a sense of have to, no, absolutely not. Even though I have this really big desire or this impulse, I will call it an impulse to do, I'm going to recognize, oh, that's one of my imprints. That's one of my patterns. That's not my truth. My truth is in my heart. And then I can pivot. And so it's really with anything in life. We take that moment to pause and be in alignment. We have
Absolutely true.
next. Yeah.
And like so many other things, it's like a continuum. You know, you have people who tend to be people pleasers to an nth degree where it gets in the way of themselves. And you have other people on the continuum who don't ever think about other people. Now, both extremes would be better off kind of finding that harmony or balance somewhere in the middle, you know, and you find your own place with that. It's great. It's great. It, it's a great concept to explore in coaching for almost everybody. Where do you fit? Where's your harmony?
Yeah. And each person will find it from within themselves. I love this conversation. It's so based in truth.
Me too.
Thanks, Coach Pete.
Thank you.